grief and loss affect everybody. There's nobody who isn't going to experience grief and loss in their life. It's part of being human, and finding ways to be in relationship with that, to come together with that, to me just feels so necessary. I don't think we're meant to hold our grief alone. I think it's too big to hold alone. I think we're meant to be together, and we're meant to kind of lift that burden by being together, being witnessed, you know, being around other people who the story might be different, but actually the emotions are the same. And there's just this real sense of communion and heart connection, I think, that comes from being around others that want to meet and connect at a very real level and to talk about what's really important and what stirs our hearts and what lifts our spirits and what expands our potential to feel alive and creative and engage with life more fully. So I just find it to be this incredibly life-affirming approach to finding more meaning and more connection. I just think it's such a gift to have the opportunity to be in these spaces. It's just something really special, and it's something special that I would like to see more people having the opportunity to experience, because I don't mean special as in only for a few. Like, we all deserve to have that place where we are so seen and so welcomed and able to be as we are, and our grief can be tended and our joy can be liberated.
Beautiful. Yeah, lovely to hear that, Jackie. And I really like the way you've unpacked that. And it makes me think, and maybe we all want to weave in a little strand of this here, is I sometimes wonder, like when I first heard about grief tending, I got to admit, I mean, this is a few years ago, and I was like, what? Why would I want to go to that? Why would I want to go there? And you know, what is it? All kind of sackcloth and ashes and what have you. And I guess, you know, one could be forgiven for having that perception again because of the way we don't really understand or have a literacy, I think, as a general principle around grief in the dominant culture, if I can speak to that. But one of the things I really want to draw out is there's so much, or there can be so much joy on these weekends at these gatherings. We're baking in poetry and song and dance and movement, storytelling, silence, time in nature, time outside, time inside, time in small groups, time apart, time in the larger group. There's such a rich tapestry that's on offer, of community and as you would say, Liz, maybe communion, hey?
And the sort of spaciousness around that as well, actually having the luxury of having a whole long weekend, you know, going from Friday to Monday, to be able to go on this journey together and have, you know, really have time to drop into what we need to, you know, to be able to go off and sort of, you know, have space on, you know, on your own to really, you know, digest things that are going on, to come together, to have shared, you know, to have long you know, long time to just kind of enjoy that connection with each other. And it's like a completely different timeless time. It's, I think, you know, when we're most of the time, for you know, for many of us, when we're out in the world, and it's, you know, always looking at the time, and there's a certain, you know, we're so drawn into all of that in our sort of everyday life. So to be able to step out of that into this, you know, this deeper time, and then having that space around that is, yeah, it's such a special thing to share together. It's, yeah, it's something. When I first came across grief tending, it was I think similar feelings to Sarah, but I think by the time I came to, you know, about halfway through my first day at a grief tending event, it was a real like, hallelujah, this is what I've been looking for. And I think it was that, but you know, yeah, doing this in community. We're not, you know, the fact that we mostly tend our grief alone, it just, yeah, it just sort of, it compounds the complexities of the grief, I think, doesn't it? And the grief that we carry, and the fact that it becomes very difficult to move through it. Do it together, it's, yeah, it's something else.
Thank you. Yeah, just I feel present with this wonder of this work in a way that and we touched on this, as you were saying, Sarah, this the two wings, the joy and the pain, the sorrow, and we talk about on our website transforming pain into beauty. And this is for sure one of the things that inspires me to be in service to this work and to keep showing up, is this what happens when we meet our suffering in communion with others, and in communion with the natural world as well, with the world of nature, and with the wider web of life that is supporting us and holding us as we move into these territories, which for many of us can be quite frightening, quite not easy, and particularly, as we've touched on, where we've had to hold some of this on our own in an unsustainable way, and that's certainly been part of my story. So to come into a space where it's all welcome, there's permission to be exactly as you are, to bring what you're bringing, the dark stuff, the difficult stuff, the edges, the shameful stuff sometimes, the things that have been hidden in the darkness, and to be witnessed in it, in this kind of safe container in community. Something starts to emerge that is grace, it is beauty, it is the truth of who we are as human beings, and then the sense that our pain and our joy are just, we're sort of able to inhabit a fuller sort of palette of what it is to be human. And the sweetest parts for me in these journeys is when there's just a natural organic need to dance. It kind of erupts, and such and so innate to what it is to be human, to experience these ways of being encircled together.